Hi, Dr. Jeffrey Mark here. I've had many people express to me how stressed they've become because of the COVID-19 situation. At first, they couldn't believe the virus could have affected them because they didn't travel or get in contact with anyone that's been to Asia or to Wuhan, China. People are uneased with the uncertainty of ongoing daily risks of getting the virus, or wondering if they get the virus, will they be among the 10 to 20% with complications? And they wonder how much longer do they have to be sheltered at home. While you might not actually be experiencing a death, there is an anticipatory grief when we see our future is uncertain. David Kessler, in an interview with Harvard Business Review, discussed how anticipatory grief is that feeling you get when you hear of a bad diagnosis or the thought you will lose your parents one day. During my 25 plus years in medicine, I've seen people go through the stages of grief. For example, when I tell them I found colon cancer on a colonoscopy, they go through a grieving process. With this virus, people feel threatened. They hear the news reports and they see conflicting information. They don't feel safe, and they see we're running out of medical resources, and they don't see the authorities in control of the situation. One of the first steps towards getting some sense of peace or the ability to cope is to have an understanding of how the stages of the grieving process works. One thing to note is that these stages are not linear, and people often go back and forth as they struggle to grasp what's happening. At first, there's denial, whether it's the challenge that they have towards me of, have I really made the right diagnosis of colon cancer? Or in the case of the virus, if they're telling themselves that I'm not at risk for the virus, then once we realize it's a possibility, we get angry. No one wants surgery or to be made to stay at home and not be able to go and work or socialize. When we finally are willing to conditionally consider the best treatment plan or a course of action, then we want to bargain. We rationalize that, well, maybe limited laparoscopic surgery would be okay, and then we'll talk about chemo or think about that. Or in the case of the virus, I'll just do the social distancing for 2 weeks and then things will probably be better, and then life will resume. All the bargaining eventually leads to sadness, having the realization one has to deal with the situation. We wonder what will happen, and we don't know when the end will be in sight. Finally, there's acceptance. They realize that they have the diagnosis or that the threat of the virus is definitely real, and now we have to deal with the situation. Once you accept the situation, however, you acquire the power to have some control by using your imagination and your resources. You can take the treatment or other options. You can wash your hands. You can keep your distance. And you can try to work virtually or remotely. Many of us picture the worst case scenarios in our minds. These thoughts put us in a fight or flight, high cortisol, and elevated sympathetic state. Our heart rate goes up, we breathe faster, our palms get sweaty, we have butterflies in our stomach, and we can't think straight. While we don't want to ignore the reality of the situation, we can use our imagination and think of the best case scenarios. The cup is half full, not just half empty. Whether you use guided imagery, meditation, or prayer, you can put your body in a relaxed parasympathetic state and generate theta waves from your brain. In this state, not only will you have relaxation and repair, but you can unlock your imagination and see solutions to problems you may not have seen before. Other things you can try include physical activities such as aerobic exercise to burn off the accumulated epinephrine from the stressful thoughts, or tapping certain areas of the body to tell the muscles to relax and send more blood flow and increase energy. Or you can also do and take nutrients. So nutrients such as magnesium threonate may help as it enters the brain. Magnesium glycinate may help relax the muscles. But these are just 2 of the 9 forms of bioavailable magnesium. Adaptogenic herbs can help modulate cortisol, such as ashwagandha. Other herbs, like relora, can help with bothersome recurrent thoughts that keep you up at night. It's very important to get a good night's quality sleep, and I've given some suggestions on how to get better sleep in my previous talks. Lastly, I think the focus on any situation before us is to have the right mindset. Everything that happens to us is a learning experience. We may not understand why things are happening to us at the moment, but often over time, we see the meaning and the opportunities presented to us. The pictographs of many ancient cultures in their language depict the pictograph of crisis as made up of 2 separate pictographs. One represents danger, and the other represents opportunity. So this crisis is a danger, and the feelings of uncertainty and grief should not be suppressed. You should take some time, but maybe not more than 5 minutes, in taking in the feelings. However, you shouldn't stay with those feelings, not for long, because there's also the opportunity to grow and learn. You have more time now with your significant other or your children. You can learn new things online and retool your education. You can take time to take care of yourself and finally get the rest that you have not been able to have for years. So I hope all this helps, and if you have further questions, including those on the supplements that I mentioned, please email info@jeffreymarkmd.com. So stay healthy and take care.